letting it all. My brother was, he was on this.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I did play like stoner softball.
And now you're a pickleballer on the loan. Right on time. Good, John.
One second. Small world. Papa?
What's the world? Keep spinning, right? Yeah. That's unbelievable. There young move.
How?
I didn't wait for him to eat it. I'm just gonna. Time before I got to wheat surf.
Yeah, I know. Look at you. It's a good episode. It's got all our good episodes. Got a lot of good issues. All of this month.
Hey,
It has a lot of good issues, like a lot.
Good afternoon. Love that.
No, GP's fun.
I don't know what happened.
Or,
Around.
okay.
Fun too. Like that's.
Okay, everybody, we have 1 minute left. Oh, time for the meeting. Okay, I don't have a gavel, so I'll pretend. That's okay. Okay, I'm calling this meeting to order. Any declaration of conflicts for between board members, on anything on the agenda tonight? Not hearing any. Okay. First up, we have HFD, but I do not see them. So we'll continue on. And I also don't see the police tonight either, unless they're late. Oh, there they are. Did we see coming up? Okay. Coming down the lane. Okay, we'll give them half a second. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and do the Board of Water Supply report. We did have one main break in Kukea Circle on October 16th. It was an 8-inch break. And then we are asking people to consider coming to work for us. If you are looking for a good job, yes, we don't pay a lot of money at the start, but we have great benefits. And it is a really, really nice place to work. So if you're interested, please go to boardofwatersupply.com/jobs. Are there any questions for me? Here. Yes, sir.
Big mahalo from the people in Pupukea for the rapid repair job on the main break. Mahalo.
You're welcome. Thank you. Any other questions, community? Any questions? Hearing none. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dustin from the Wailua Fire Station. Tonight I'll be going over the statistics for October. So for wildland brush, we have 4, nuisance 2, activated alarms 1, medical 50, motor vehicle collision with pedestrian 1, motor vehicle crash and collision is 3, mountain rescues 1, ocean rescues 1. Okay, and then over the fire safety tip for the month, it's kitchen and cooking safety. Cooking is the leading cause of home fires. Protect yourself, your family, and your neighborhood by practicing these prevention tips. For more information, resources, visit fire.honolulu.gov. And staying in the kitchen while you're cooking, do not leave cooking unattended. If you must leave the kitchen, turn off the stove. Keep items such as oven mitts, wooden utensils, towels, etc. away from the stovetop, even when the stove is off. Never store items on top of the stove or cooktop and inside the oven. Keep a lid nearby to smother small grease fires. Smother the fire by sliding a lid over the pan and turning the stove off. Only plug one heat-producing appliance, such as a coffee maker, toaster, etc., into an outlet at a time, and create a 3-foot child and pet-free zone around your cooking area. And that's it. Any questions?
Yeah. Board members, questions for HFD? Community, any questions for HFD? Yes, Denise.
Thank you for coming. I'm interested in whether or not you have started to look at fire breaks around our area and kind of what the proactive measures might be for both fire breaks and removal of invasive grasses on fallow ag land in particular, but also roadways. So just, has HFD had the opportunity to kind of think forward about disaster preparedness in our area?
Oh, well, I think we ask everybody to do their own due diligence and, take care of the land if they can. But as far as answering that question further, I can look into it further for you about fire breaks around the area and then have the question for you next community board meeting.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, for
Okay.
coming tonight. I
Thank you.
see
Have a good night.
HFD pulling in. Okay, we'll come back to HPD. I just saw them. It looks like they pulled in. But in the meantime, we'll go to residents' concerns. Please come to the front, to the microphone. Please identify yourself and your organization. You will have 2 minutes to state your concern. Thank you very much. Okay, let's talk while Mr. McElhaney is doing his thing. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. For the record, my name is Larry McElhaney, a longtime Pupukea resident. And what I'd like to do is share with you a motion that was passed on Wednesday, November 20, 2024, at the Sunset Beach Community Association meeting. So if you don't mind, I'll just read the motion. The following motion was made and seconded. Quote, whereas the Sunset Beach Community Association expresses its appreciation to Mayor Blangiardi for sending a letter dated September 11, 2024 to Hanapohaku, the owner of the properties across Sharks Cove, which is the community's preferred site for the future North Shore First Responders Center, Ambulance and Ocean Safety District Station. Whereas 2 months have passed since that letter was sent, and the Sunset Beach Community Association is unaware of any response to the mayor from the landowner. Whereas in the past 2 months, 6 deaths, 4 ocean drowning, and 2 traffic fatalities have occurred within a 2-mile stretch of our community. And whereas Sunset Beach Community Association and over 8,500 people have expressed support for the North Shore First Responder Center at Sharks Cove. Therefore, Sunset Beach Community Association requests the mayor to send another letter to the landowner by December 15th with a copy to Sunset Beach Community Association, making a specific offer to purchase the 3 Hanapohaku parcels for the North Shore First Responder Center at fair market value to be determined by an independent appraisal, and requesting the landowner's support for the mayor to apply to the City Clean Water and Natural Lands Fund, parentheses, which currently has over $70 million in unspent funds for this kind of public interest conservation acquisition to purchase the parcels. The motion passed unanimously.
Thank
Any
you.
questions about the motion?
Thank you.
I see on the agenda that there's a similar commercial proposal in being proposed in Haleiwa. I think it's called Backyard something or another. Interestingly, the commercial development that's being proposed at Sharks Cove is larger than the one that's being proposed in Haleiwa. So you can sympathize with what we're up against.
Thanks, Larry. Appreciate your time
Thank you.
tonight. Any other residents' concerns?
Karen Gallagher, for the record. If anyone's keeping record. There's my magazine Denise is holding up. It's got there's a lot of planned developments in the North Shore, and if those all go through, you ain't gonna recognize the joint, I'll tell you that. It's there's some really horrible things. So anyway, and inside there is also QR codes to sign the petition about Sharks Cove and also to donate. And I believe that development is bigger than the store lots, also the Haleiwa store lots. And there's no infrastructure up there. So I just hope everyone can really do what you can, join rallies, sign the petition, do anything we can to stop that insanity. Call the mayor, tell him to please make a nice offer to the owner. Aloha.
Thank you, Karen. Dawn?
Thanks. I hope there's not a big surf on December 11th because we need you to show up to finalize the 1.25 mile wind turbine setback for the remainder of 20-year power purchase agreement terms. We understand that to pass the full council, the turbines need to be allowed to operate. But just last week, one of the council members added language that would allow them to be grandfathered in. So we need to show up for Matt Wire at the next meeting to support him to make sure that these turbines can finish their 20 years and then they'll be decommissioned, especially the ones within 1.25 miles of residences, the ones right along the rim at Waimea, the ones surrounding the town of Kahuku. There would only be 4 left there and about half of the ones at Kailoa left. So please come December 11th, 10 a.m. and it's 1 minute of testifying for that purpose. Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. Appreciate. Michelle?
Good evening, everyone. Michelle Casimiro, Student Activities Coordinator for Waialua High and Intermediate School. So for November, we had a successful community fall craft and food fair. We collected canned foods and non-perishable items for our Thanksgiving basket drive and made basket deliveries today, and we'll make a few more tomorrow. We are having our in-school craft and food fair tomorrow for our students in our school. It's a nice kickoff before the holiday. Then for December, we have a Spirit Week and a No Hate Assembly. We will be visiting Haleiwa and Waialua Elementary Schools for our annual Christmas visits. And finally, our band will be quite busy performing in the following: the Waikiki Christmas Parade this Friday, on Ala Moana Center Stage next week, Wednesday, marching in the Honolulu City Lights Parade next week, Friday, marching in our very own Haleiwa Christmas Parade, December 13th. And we'll have their final performance of this year on the evening of December 14th, a Saturday, at our school's gym. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Layla?
Hi, everyone. My name is Layla Jabor, and I'm Brooke Berry. And together we have formed Keep Hawaii Pono, which is a group dedicated to spreading education and awareness about the development at Kuilima. We just wanted to speak to you all tonight and let you know that we will be organizing a grassroots meeting at Sunset Beach Elementary School in the cafeteria. And please follow our Instagram, Keep Hawaii Pono, to stay updated about when that meeting will be. And we hope to unify our community and show especially our generation. You can tell there's not a lot of us here, but I mean, let our generation know that we do have a voice and we can fight when we fight together, we're stronger, right? So, thank you.
Thank you, Layla. And Leila, make sure you send me the information and I'll make sure it gets circulated. So thank you, really appreciate it. Anybody else? Okay, we're going to make a small dispensation for Erica tonight because she doesn't have anybody else to do this for her. So very quickly, yes, go up front, please.
Erica Lemkel, on behalf of the North Shore Chamber of Commerce, the Christmas tree lighting is going to be Saturday, November 30th. That's this Saturday at 5 p.m. at we call it the Green Space at North Shore Marketplace. There'll be pictures with Santa. There'll be like food booths, stuff like that. So and we're going to light the Christmas tree. So please come and support that. On December 13th, next Friday, not this Friday, but like the one like 2 weeks from now, Friday the 13th, just remember that, 6 p.m. is the Haleiwa Christmas Parade. That affects everyone because the road will be closed from Kamehameha Highway will be closed from Weed Circle all the way to Haleiwa Beach Park at 5:30 p.m. until about 8:30 p.m. So please plan accordingly if you have a business or you live there. The North Shore Chamber of Commerce annual Christmas party honoring our honoree this year is Kim Johnson for the Kokua Foundation. So if you'd like to come and support her and the chamber and all of our awardees, please buy tickets at gonorthshore.org, gonorthshore.org to find out about any of our events going on with the North Shore Chamber of Commerce. And the Christmas party is December 13th and the parade is, December 12th and the parade is the December 13th, day after. But if y'all have questions, you can,
Thank you very much, Erica. Okay. I see HPD lurking outside. Lieutenant Besa, please come on in. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm a little late. Had a meeting with the sergeants. Lieutenant Ronald Baisa from Honolulu Police Department with the Wahiawa Police Station. Reporting on your statistics for the Haleiwa, Wailua areas for the month of November. Calls for service, we had about 584. That's actually a little bit less than what it was last month. 0 assaults, 2 burglaries, 4 motor vehicle collisions involving vehicles that are towed, 9 break-ins of cars, and 0 robberies. We had about 7 criminal citations, 144 parking, 79 traffic infractions, and 671 traffic crimes. As far as the safety tip, because the holidays are coming up, little shopping safety tip for you guys. Stay alert and be aware of what's going on around you when you guys are walking to and from your car. Be careful. Park in well-lit areas. Make sure you guys lock your cars, close your windows. Avoid carrying any large amount of cash. Pay with check or credit card. I don't know who pays with check nowadays, but deter pickpockets and purse snatchers by not overburdening yourself with the stuff that you carry, as well as keeping your bags close to your person at all times. And if you're shopping with kids, make sure you guys tell them to teach them how to contact a security guard or a responsible adult if they get lost or you guys get separated. That's all I got. Into questions?
Okay, board members, questions for Lieutenant? Yes, Denise.
I may have misheard something. Did you say 671?
Citations.
Oh, citations for
Traffic
traffic
crimes.
citations.
Correct. Traffic crime citations.
Traffic crime citations, tickets.
Tickets.
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Yes.
That's still a lot.
If you are one of them, no.
Is that for 1 month?
From the beginning of November till now, till today.
That's a lot. Is that increase or is that normal?
Every so often we have some units that do projects and they strategically target a certain type of violation. Yeah.
Do you know what?
Speeding mostly.
Do you know what? Do you know?
Unfortunately, it doesn't break down what
Okay.
the citations are for
Okay, well,
and where they're at even.
okay, mahalo.
Bob?
I was going to ask the unfortunate part about what those citations were about. Whether they were speeding or not people using their phones, I'm sure, or any other multitude of things we see on a regular basis.
Think of what you would do, and that's what it is. I'm joking. Yeah, unfortunately, like I mentioned several times, that we do not keep track of the breakdown of the citations and where they're at. So unfortunately, I can't report that unless I look at each citation, 671 of them.
Community, any questions for Lieutenant Besa? Somebody have their hand up over there? Not seeing anybody. Okay, Leaf.
Just curious, you gave me an idea because something that I did when I was, never mind. Is exhibition of speed still a violation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You gotta catch somebody
still-
because they're doing it all over
The-
Haleiwa.
Right. The problem with violations is it has to be observed by a police officer. Yeah. So we report all these things happening all over the place, but unless a police officer sees it, or if you have like a videotape of it, then maybe that's something we can explore. But otherwise, if it's only, and I say only, saying that there's violations and there's crimes that are when you commit it, you can go to jail for. So violations, you can get a citation for, a ticket for it, but you can't go to jail for it.
Okay.
Well,
Okay, thank you. Any other final questions for Lieutenant Besa? Yes, Mike.
Just on that point about the exhibition of speed, on Farrington Highway, right? I live right by the high school, and there's those three raised crosswalk speed humps. And as soon as people pass over those, especially motorcycles, they accelerate like incredibly fast. And I don't even know how to explain it, but it also happens the other way coming in, where you hear them slowing down. I don't have a radar gun, but I'd estimate in the range of 60, 70 miles an hour. And it's at night. I mean, this is not generally during the day, but I just feel like it's an area where the speed is pretty excessive. I know there's speed bumps down on the other end at Barrington by the airport, and there's down by the high school. And I'm not saying I want them put in everywhere. I'm kind of annoyed by how many there are, but maybe that'd be a spot you guys could sit at occasionally to just, flash a blue light here and there, or, get notice out to some of these people that are using it like a little bit of racetrack right there.
yes, I can definitely make that suggestion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for coming tonight. We really appreciate your time. Okay, a couple of things. First of all, if anyone's here for Turtle Bay tonight, I am so sorry because of the holiday in 2 days. The head of Arate was not able to be here, and I did not think it was right to have them come without her being here. So we have rescheduled them to January. I've also made sure they understand to have their traffic consultant here as well, because I know traffic is a real concern for our community. Secondly, Queens called me or emailed me late yesterday afternoon and apologized profusely, but they will not be here tonight to present. So we will schedule them for a future date. It happens. So moving on to board business. 3 absences for board member Mike Beekler. So I'm going to say a few kind words on Mike's behalf. Mike has a pretty still brand new baby. He's also a sole proprietor of a law firm, so he gets incredibly busy. And why we accept that, we hope to see him more frequently. But I do believe he is a valuable member of this board. And so I personally would not recommend that we vacate the seat. And I would hope the rest of the board will join me in that sentiment. Mike, did you want to say anything on your behalf?
I throw myself at the benevolent feet of the great North Shore Neighborhood Board.
Okay, so as we all recall, we don't make motion to keep somebody, we just make a motion to vacate the seat. That's how they do it. So is there a motion to vacate the seat? As I stare everybody down. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mike. I know it's been it's complicated, and we appreciate your service to the community. Thank you. Okay, moving on to our next item of business. If you didn't grab one, we have copies up front. This is our North Shore Development Moratorium Resolution. We discussed this back in September, and we got a lot of great input from both the board and the community. And we made 2 fairly significant changes. One was we removed any mention of ag CPRs. So we took that out. We just said, misuse of ag land, period. And then the second thing we did was in the first be it resolved, the moratorium should not apply to owner-occupied remodeling or rebuilding of single-family homes or the replacement of cesspools with septic tanks. We originally had that along the coastline, but we just broaden it for everybody. So anybody who's doing a remodel, basically, if you're a single-family homeowner, this does not apply to you. The purpose of this moratorium is for large-scale developments, of which unfortunately we're being inundated with, and there more and more seem to be popping up. So I will open it up to board questions, comments, or any other issues. We can also entertain a motion. Yes, Charlene.
Hello, thank you. When I'm reading this, it says moratorium on development or new development. Is there a word that should be there?
Just develop, I don't know. I open that up for discussion.
And then it says and new commercial parks. So you got the new in commercial parks, but not new in development. So I was a bit confused.
Okay, no, that's a good point. Any other comments? She said that it doesn't say in the title new development, it just says development, but we do say new commercial. So a recommendation to add the word new. Okay, so Charlene's recommending that we add the word new before development in the title. So that's an option there. Okay, thanks, Charlene. Yes, Michael.
I had two issues or concerns maybe. One was that development's not really defined and it can be defined in a lot of different ways. There are statutory definitions and stuff in some sections, you know, like building permit codes or A laws or something that might be able to be referenced to expand or just, you know, make sure it's clear what development we're referring to. And I still had a little worry about the residential ones because I immediately started thinking of other situations where, you know, is a ADU included in that? And, you know, there's increased density things, you know, where if you have a lot that's 10,000 square feet and you have one house on it, could you build a second house on that? And you're allowed to, would that be stopped? You know, and so just remodeling and rebuilding might not be broad enough to encompass things that even just, you know, all of us would maybe want to do, or we might know someone who's trying to do them that are not, you know, this larger development. So in my mind, I kind of thought of things that involve subdivisions or that involve more than 4 units or some kind of way to quantify that so that things that are pretty reasonable and allowable would still be allowed, but, you know, kind of just getting to our intent of stopping larger developments, not just individual uses of one lot.
Did you want to make a recommendation for a change?
I might, as we discuss it more, or if I don't have exact language off the top of my head, but I think it should maybe be broadened so that it's residential, you know, development of more than 4 units or residential development. I don't know. I'd be open to suggestions on the language, but I think it just needs to be a little bit more clear because that's still a little bit limited.
Residential with more than 4
Okay,
units is
Eric.
actually commercial.
Okay. Yes, Erica, did you have something to say?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry. That just going back to definitions based on our occupations, the definition of commercial is 5 units or more. So I am with Mike on this. I don't have the correct language or anything either, but I definitely agree. Yeah. So
Casey.
For the same reason and without the definition of development.
Go ahead, Casey.
I don't support restricting agricultural development and without understanding what that is. So my concern would be around restricting residential and agricultural. I support the spirit of restricting resort and commercial new development, but it doesn't make sense to me to incorporate residential and agriculture unless we can be more specific on exactly what expansive activities we're trying to stop.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board community? Anybody wish to comment? Yes, sir. Please come forward. Yeah, you have to come to the microphone, and I'm so sorry. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Sorry about that. I'm very young, so this is my first time to one of these things, but I was agreeing to both of them to use better terms. I don't have the terms either, but to see what the people of the community feel like would be better words, because it just doesn't feel like it encompasses like everything, you know? But yeah,
That's why we bring them for discussion.
Sweet. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
guys.
I appreciate that. Thank you. So what I'm hearing, go ahead, Raquel.
Elizon. I would suggest moratorium on new development of structures for any new residential or commercial structure in residential or ag land. The point and the purpose being for, obviously, an overwhelming amount of non-permitted and big developments that are happening without approvals or community input that we are trying to address now instead of adding to it.
Okay, thank you, Bob.
I agree with the spirit of this. I just think that referring to too much traffic, there was a report the other day that said, I think there was around 11,000 cars a day that pass through Haleiwa. Well, that's quantifying it. So what's acceptable, 10,000 or 12,000? I just feel that it's a big umbrella saying we're in crisis, and we name off a lot of things where we're feeling crowded and maybe we're pitched up on our infrastructure. But I think for it to have any teeth, there has to be some quantifying in it. The other thing is some people have been in the pipeline for development and the DPP hasn't been able to get it out. They've got a lot invested in maybe an SMA and are moving forward. And all of a sudden, it just stops. And I think that maybe there should be a provision where it's not an absolute thing, but there's opportunities for variances also. That's all.
Okay, any other comments? Yes, Blake McElhaney.
It's kind of high. I was speaking in support of the resolution with some of the friendly amendments that have been suggested. I think that the overall intent, right, is that we're constantly barraged with zone change proposals, proposals to change or loosen the sustainable community plan. And I would think that people would recognize that this is just an overarching sentiment and that we're not an enforcement body. There's bodies such as the city council that will see what we're saying and work out the legalities. But I think that if it was simply modified to say development that requires a zoning change to the general plan or change to the sustainable communities plan, that that would be affected by this sentiment that this community has, and that we would ask that our city council member and the city council determine how to better specify those types of restrictions. But I don't think any of us here are talking about an individual project. And if you look at the history of community involvement in this region, it's never been about a single household or a single landowner. Typically, I would say the vast majority of major concern in our community has been on a rezoning or a reclassification at the state land use level. It's crystal clear what's talked about. So I don't feel like it's a good road to go down to wander through the possibilities of who might be affected by this. This is a general sentiment that our community is very concerned, as we have been for decades, about the large scale development, and that we trust our lawmakers to take this and fine tune it to make sure that it's proper. Thank you.
Thanks, Blake. Appreciate it. Okay, Mike and then Raquel.
I just think that's right on, Blake, and I think that I would support like language that amended it to make that would clear up the definitions thing and the over hyper focus on individual projects by making it like it's requesting them put a moratorium on developments that include zone changes, district boundary amendments, and other like reclassifications or things like that. Yeah, I think that'd be great with me. I'd like that.
Raquel.
So I just want to point out, like we did last time in September, there's a portion in this moratorium that I think is important for everyone to kind of pay attention to and keep in mind. The North Shore community is in a state of crisis due to the continuously growing pressures of overcrowding from visitors and gridlock. That being the drive behind this, I agree with Member McElhaney and his sentiments to the zone changes and so on. So we do have a vast amount of projects that come through, and a lot of these projects go for or require SMA permits, special management area permits, or conditional use permits. And people are getting them as minors, which don't require them to come to this community. They should be coming to this community. And that is the point of this moratorium, of a very large part of it, to address those things, because we deserve to hear these projects. But no one is telling any of these people what is a minor or a major. They go for a minor, and we don't ever see it until we see something we're upset about. So we really want to try to hone in on what is coming before us, and we deserve that right to hear what is coming in our community.
Thanks, Raquel. So the other thing I want to make clear, this would only, again, as Board Member McElhaney pointed out, we're only advisory. So we will send this to everybody and hope that people will take it seriously. But the other thing is, it's only, we understand that things like this can't be open-ended. They have to have a deadline. And our deadline is the draft, the final approval of our revised North Shore Sustainables Community Plan, which, according to DPP, the first draft community to come out to the community will be in first quarter of 2025. So this does have a deadline to it. It's not open-ended. It won't be forever. But what we're finding, to echo other comments, is we're finding projects are coming up that we believe, based on the changes that were made to the plan and from what we hear in the community, are no longer in sync with what the community's desires are. Denise.
Thank you. 3 points. One is I like the friendly amendments that have been made. I would add, keep in there large scale development, because there's some, it's not just the zoning changes. So, you know, so SMA, CDP, zoning changes, large scale development, that's definitely where we're headed, not for the single family. So if we can recraft that would be great. Second, underline Kathleen's point. There is some important case law on point that says a community can impose a moratorium if they're in the process of adopting a plan. It's Lake Tahoe did this basically. Again, we're advisory. We're asking the city for help. But if the city council imposed a moratorium, it would be because we're on the cusp of adopting a new plan that updates the very old plan, the Sustainable Communities Plan. So there's a real rationale to it. It's not just a random. The last thing I would say is the last paragraph is particularly important. It has some really burning asks, which I would hope that most people in this room would agree with, which is we need better enforcement by DPP. I think we would probably all agree on that. We need a better plan to deal with our visitors on the North Shore. We need enforcement of our commercial activity ban on our beaches. And so it's a real cry for help, and also a way for us to try to get more resources and support for DPP. So that's the intent, and I support it with the changes that we've talked about.
Okay, so I appreciate good discussion, group. However, you've given some excellent amendments to this. However, I'm one person and I was doing my best to take notes. So we have a couple of options here. Option number one is we can come up with a motion that incorporates everybody's comments and pray that Zoidel and I get everything, and that we revise the moratorium, and I'll send it out to you and pray that there's no major mistakes. Or what we can do is you also kindly will email me your comments and changes, suggested changes, and we can bring this back in January. I know we have one major thing, but I think we're very close. I feel strongly personally, this is my personal, I feel strongly that it's important for us to get this right. And a dear friend of mine always said, better to do it right than fast. And I think everyone has made some excellent points here. You know, Bob will have to take a few minutes to find some data to stick in there. But could I get a kind of a temperature check on how the board feels about maybe deferring this to January and bringing it back correctly written? Yes, Denise.
I would support deferring it to January because I think it's really important the community sees the wording and is able to come to another meeting with that wording. So that's what I would support.
I like your option too, and if you'd entertain a motion, I'll make it.
We don't need, we don't need anything just to defer to January. Okay, great. Any other comments, Maka?
Aloha Kako, and comment and just also shedding light on the other side, right? That might be opposed to this opposition and this moratorium, that we did have testimony. And so this is the space, right? If you're not emailing the neighborhood board, this is the space to share your concern. This is the space to say that you're against what the neighborhood board is proposing. Because I just saw the one testimony, and I do want to invite the voices that are here. So mahalo for coming. Please engage. Mahalo for engaging.
Okay, yes, and thank you for reminding me. I totally spaced. We did get one testimony from a gentleman named William Lyon, who lives in Haleiwa, who did oppose the moratorium. I will be sharing that with the board if you haven't all already received it. So thank you very much for bringing that up. Yes, Blake.
I can wait and see if any residents want to speak, and then I could speak after if any residents come up.
Yeah, we've had a couple already. Anybody else wish to speak towards this moratorium in any capacity? We are going to defer it to January to make the amendments that have been recommended so far by the community and the board. So if there's any other comments or questions, otherwise you can also email me or call me. Come up and see me after the board meeting. I'll give you my card if you have anything that you'd like to comes to you even later. Sometimes after thinking about it and reading it over, something occurs to you, and I would love to hear from you. Okay, see no further. Yes, Dylan, now please come up.
I do respect the spirit of this moratorium, but I think, well, a suggestion of mine is that to make sure when you do go over it again, make the language a little bit more clear, more precise, more specific. You're going to say large capacity. What is large to one person is a different kind of large to another person. So between all of you brainiacs over here, I'm sure you can come up with some kind of number, but make this kind of information, this kind of resolution more easily digestible for everyone here.
Okay, so I expect to hear from you, Linnell, on any specifics. Since I wrote it, I'm kind of like, it's hard for me, so I appreciate the input. So what seems intuitive to me may not be your right to other people, so it's really good to get that. The other thing I want to make sure that people notice, we went from like 4.5 pages to 1.5. So we're trying to keep it short too, so thank you very much. Any final comments? Yes, Blake.
I really like what you said about if worth doing, it's worth doing right or something to that effect. And I think in the same mindset of being thoughtful, then you would say to yourself, if you're in an emergency situation, you try and like deal with the emergency the best you can right then, and then like, you know, adapt. And so I do think the sense of urgency that Member Achu described, and I just want to remind people, and I don't know, I try to avoid going into Haleiwa town personally, but like for myself, before the global pandemic, I felt like we were at that tipping point of like, things are like nuts, like it's so messed up. Like what is going on here? Out of control, like on the verge of road rage every day. Not myself, but could tell it was happening. Trying to find a parking spot to take my children to the ocean at Waimea Bay. People getting all nuts trying to find parking just to go enjoy the beach with their family. And so I think she hits it the nail on the head in terms of like, this is urgent. And so yeah, of course you want to do something right, but at the same time, in an emergency situation, you take action and adapt and move forward. So I appreciate all the amendments that are being suggested, and I appreciate Chair Pahinui refining it for our discussion and being able to address this important challenge. Thank you.
Thank you, Blake. Charlene. Oh, Russell, please come on up. You snuck up on us.
Okay, I just want to touch on, the board is very, very creative on how we can move things for the community or against the community. I don't understand why the board is trying to enact language when we have DPP, we have all these land use commissions. So basically, you guys are trying to play policeman for them. They're getting paid. Let them do their jobs. Okay. This moratorium.
Okay, thank you, Raquel. Thank you. Go ahead.
This moratorium, I can only see hurting the little guys. I get it. You guys are trying to stop Sharks Cove. You guys are trying to start Turtle Bay. But in the interim, it's all the little guys that are going to get screwed. All our tradesmen that make money down here are going to be out of work. You know what I mean? And then it's just a creative way to stop the stuff on the hill, stop Mexico, whatever. Why don't the agencies that regulate these things do their job? Why are we adding more government to what we already have? That's my question.
Okay, thank you, Russell. First of all, we're not adding government. We're just doing a resolution. It has, like we said, it's just a resolution and it's just advisory. You were at the meeting Friday night and you heard Dell go after Dawn. So why we like to think that all of our government agencies are doing their job. We also know that they're hamstrung and they don't always do their job. This is our way of encouraging them. Appreciate the comment. Thank you. If you have any specifics that you think we should revise, you know where I live, come and see me. Seriously, I appreciate it, Russell. Thank you for your comment. He lives behind me. Charlene, go ahead.
Thank you. I was wondering, because you said something about the sustainability plan coming out sometime in early 2025, and if we defer this or whatever to redo this in January, is there a timing issue when you said it's about timing?
When the mayor signs it into law. And that's in here, I believe.
So it doesn't matter about the sustainability plan timing? with that?
No.
Okay, got it.
I think we're good. Okay, at this point, I think we're good. Thank you for everyone for your comments. Really appreciate it. We're going to go back, and I do fully expect all those who have spoken to share their mana'o with me and send me comments, because that would be extremely helpful. I can't do this all by myself. And then again, community, those of you who, after maybe thinking about it for a while, please also, we don't meet again until the end of January, so we got plenty of time to tweak this. And to make sure that, as Board Member Beekler mentioned and Board Member Alexander, that we're going after the right entities, and Board Member Lemkiel. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for your comments. Really appreciate it. Mahalo. Okay, moving on to Haleiwa Backyards. So last month we had this project on our agenda, and the motion was specific to a very specific action. It was the state land use boundary. Unfortunately, that motion failed, but maybe out of that, that was maybe not a bad thing, because we worked with the Neighborhood Commission. And I'd like to turn this over to Board Member Casson Fisher for a new motion that we're looking at on this project. Now, before we get there, sorry, Maka, I did pass out hold on one second. Where is it? Up on the table is the presentation from last month. Thank you very much. So if anyone didn't get it, when we had a lot of folks here last month from Haleiwa proper, and I don't think we had a single person speak in favor of it that night. Everyone's shaking their head no. We did get another email from Mr. William Lyon supporting the project, just to let you know. So we did have one person support the project. He said in his testimony today. So I know we were down 6 board members last month, and so I did get questions and comments also from the community and board members asking if we could revisit this and look at a different motion on this project. So I did want to give board members who weren't here an opportunity to ask any questions. And again, you have the handout if you've had a chance to review it. But in summary, it's just a little over 7.5 acre project. And they're looking to put in about 150 rental units, 30,000 square feet of commercial, which is the same size as the store lots. About, was it 300 parking spaces? Was that correct, guys? And on 7 acres, which is really pretty small. If you see it's a very long, skinny piece. So those are the highlights of the project. Any specific questions anybody has on it? Yes, Mike.
Maybe not a question, but just a comment. I read the minutes from October and looked good, and I'm sorry that I wasn't here to help that motion pass. I hope it can be for the good and we get an even better revised motion here. I'm familiar with this project from when it was originally proposed, then its environmental review then, and I also had Andy Anderson at the North Shore Chamber of Commerce a months back, and he gave a presentation about the plan at that time. So I'm familiar with it. And I would just say that I personally don't think I think it would significantly change the character of Haleiwa, right? And I'm not saying never and that we'll never need this. I don't know what the future needs in 50 years or what Haleiwa will need then, but in the next 10 to 20 years and the amount of time it takes to develop this project, I cannot see us needing this. I don't want this. And I think it would significantly change Haleiwa for the worse. So if there's a motion that opposes it, you could count my support in.
Okay. And that was the other thing I forgot to mention. There's only one way in and one way out through Haleiwa. So 300 more cars in Haleiwa proper.
Could I comment on that? At our meeting at the Chamber of Commerce, he told us that he would request and would like to have an additional access into Haleiwa straight from the bypass into this development, to which we all, of course, said that's the purpose of the bypass, is to stop those types of things. But he tried to pitch it as some kind of safety evacuation type of thing. So there'll be a third exit entrance onto the bypass to get people out in the sake of an emergency. And so that's not included in the plan, and I haven't seen that anywhere, but he did say those things to us at the Chamber of Commerce meeting.
His own consultant at last month's meeting said to us that they went to DOT and DOT was flat out no, because apparently when that bypass was originally built, agreements were put into place that you can't have any additional exits or entrances. So Casey, did you? Okay, yeah, thank you. So I'm going to turn it over to Maka at this point, and then we'll have further discussion. We did spend nearly 2 hours on this at the last board meeting, but if there's any community comments, we'll take those as well. Thank you.
Mahalo, Chair. Aloha kako. So here's the motion. Again, this is just spaghetti on the wall, right, for discussion and opportunity to talk. The North Shore Neighborhood Board opposes the Haleiwa Backyards project and the steps needed to execute the project as presented during the October 22nd, 2024 meeting. The board believes that the proposed development poses significant threats to the cultural integrity, environmental sustainability, and community character of Haleiwa and the broader North Shore region. Specifically, 1, cultural impact. The project undermines the historic and cultural fabric of Haleiwa by promoting large-scale development incompatible with the area's identity as a culturally rich and community-oriented town. Number 2, community displacement and overdevelopment. The project prioritizes commercial interests over local needs, exacerbating housing challenges and potentially driving longtime residents out of their community. 3, environmental concerns. The project relies on outdated environmental assessments and disregards current concerns about climate change, sea level rise, and sustainable land use practices. The potential harm to sensitive ecosystems, including the wetlands and nearby marine environments, is unacceptable. 4, lack of meaningful community engagement. Although the developers have held some public meetings, the project does not reflect genuine community input. The overwhelming opposition voiced by residents highlights a disconnect between the developer's vision and the community's desires. For these reasons, North Shore Neighborhood Board firmly opposes the Haleiwa Backyards project and urges the Honolulu Department of Planning and Permitting, DPP, and other relevant agencies to halt its approval process until the concerns of the North Shore community are addressed through updated environmental assessments, genuine community consultation, and adherence to the sustainable development principles.
Mark, I appreciate it. Do we have a second? Okay, Mike Beekler seconds. The other thing too, and I remember this from last month, that we had a number of farmers in the audience. And not one of them came up and said it was unusable, because they said, the consultant said that they had a letter from the Department of Ag and saying that the land was not usable. And I remember people coming up and saying that was obscene in their opinion. They said, give me the land and I'll make it viable. I will grow stuff on that. And I think anyone who knows how to grow knows how to make land viable and growable. So the fact that they don't see any value in it as agriculture is kind of disheartening to an agricultural community. So any other comments from the board? Denise?
Okay, mahalo. I was not here last meeting, but I did watch the entire video of all of you. And the community comments were great, and the board comments were great. I've also, like Mike, I'm familiar when the came around last time, and I went back and looked at the old EA. So if you bear with me, I have about 8 different comments. You know, last meeting, Jim Hayes came, and he's a very good professional consultant, and he did a pretty darn good job putting, you know, the expression "live on a pig," right? And because remember, prior when it had been presented, this board was pretty offended by the lack of professionalism, the way it was presented, and some of the really horrible comments that came from. So, you know, it has nothing to do with this consultant, but I think when, you know, developers are in trouble, they call Jim Hayes. So he did a good job. But number one, keep ag. Just keep ag, you know, it needs to be used for ag. It was purchased as ag. It should be used as ag. So we know that developers do this. They buy ag, they clean it up, they downzone it, and then they flip it, you know, for 2-3 times the value. That's just the economic model, but the burden falls on the community. And that's something that I don't support. There is active ag in Haleiwa. Within the community growth boundary, the developer kept saying, this is within the community growth boundary, but we have ag within the community growth boundary. It doesn't mean you can't have ag. I mean, I think Kathleen, you kind of pointed out Kokua Farm, and there's others. That's my first point. My second point is they're going for B1 zoning, which is neighborhood zoning, business and community business zoning. And the intent of B1 neighborhood business zoning is to provide relatively small areas which serve the daily retail and other business needs of the surrounding population. That's you. So will you go to this commercial development and buy something that you need on a daily basis? You'll go to Ace, right? We all go to Ace and the bank and the post office. This commercial development, he says, oh, it's B1 zoning. We're going to have a lot of local businesses. That's not the point. The local businesses need to serve us in the community. So that I thought was really disingenuous. Third, traffic, one access road, but somewhere on the plans I saw they also plan to use Kane Hall Road. Like, ooh, how about disclosing that and where that traffic's coming from? Congestion's already bad. He mentioned that the traffic analysis being updated. It should be shared with us before we're asked to comment. So that needs to be carefully examined. And as Karen Gallagher pointed out, there's all these commercial customers. It's not just the residents of this proposed area. Next, wastewater. They're proposing a wastewater treatment plant right in the heart of Haleiwa, right next to the existing shopping center next to Kane Hall Road. Isn't that a lovely heart of Haleiwa? Next, workforce housing. Jim Hayes said 3 times, hopefully it will be workforce housing. Hopefully. And I caught that because we know that from other developers. Promises are worth nothing if it's not locked down for the community. And there was some elegant, wonderful testimony from the community. If a 2-unit apartment rents for $2,500 a month, which unfortunately is a going rate, apparently you need $100,000 a year income. You know, is that going to go for the local community? So I just think that's false hope and misleading. The EA, the environmental assessment, is over 10 years old. He says, oh, the project hasn't changed. Well, the community has changed. The conditions have changed. And there's really good, happen to be an environmental lawyer, really good case law that says from Turtle Bay, The community has changed. We can no longer tolerate this kind of, old analysis. Sorry, 2 more points. North Shore Sustainable Communities Plan, as Larry McElhaney said, the primary purpose or primary intent is preserve rural character. The development that's being proposed, I'm sorry, I like Mililani, but I don't live in Mililani. This development belongs in Mililani, not on the North Shore. It's a classic suburban Mililani development. It belongs somewhere else. It's totally fine, but not in Haleiwa, which rolls up its sidewalks at night and it's dark and quiet, and we love it that way. Last thing, the A1 zoning, which is the apartment 1 zoning, average, they admitted about 600 people if they adhere to what the normal, but as somebody else said, it could be packed with partiers on the weekends, completely overwhelming our quiet little Haleiwa town. And that is a substantial increase in the number of people for Haleiwa. And I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thanks, Denise.
What you said. I'm just going to say that this project is exactly a great example of why this board is so active in the process. We are not trying to police anybody, but our first and foremost goal is to ensure the integrity of our way of life, of our community, our culture, and our history. If the agencies don't hear from us through you, this is going to happen. They get to do whatever they want. The burden falls on us. They would go in and say, hey guys, this is a minor project. And they're going to get a permit. And then we're all going to go to Haleiwa, throw a few F-bombs and be like, what's going on? Because we didn't have a say. And that's the purpose of all of this process, because we want your input and we want to be able to represent it appropriately. These projects, if you guys don't have a copy of this yet, there's some in the front here. This has a really great content of all the projects we're being hit with right now that will severely impact our future and our way of life. So these projects here are critical for you to put in your input. You can contact any of us. You can contact your council member. You can contact anyone, you can DPP even, to give your input. So please, I just ask that you be a part of that process. We in no way are policing anybody, but if someone doesn't ensure that these are done properly, we're in a lot of hurt. You think we're grumbling now, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. Thank you.
I just wanted to add that that's, all of this stuff pertains to this moratorium thing that we're talking about. That's the kind of projects that we're trying to control, because this is going to be thrown right in our lap. And like Raquel said, we're not going to know what's hitting us. The other thing that I wanted to say was, if we got 300 parking stalls, I'm sure most of us have been to Ace Hardware. You got 300 cars going up and down that road by Ace Hardware. It ain't happening. You can't even get them into town. So, big F. Thank you.
Debbie, did you? Okay. Yes, Bob.
So I asked some people, the road going in there goes by Ace. And I asked some of the Wahinis that work in there, mostly Wahinis. And I said, how do you feel about having this be an access road? And it was really interesting. Most of them said stuff like, oh, we got too much people already. And, that's not a sophisticated analysis of the program, but that's a sentiment. And I think that it reflects how a lot of people feel without taking a deep dive. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Community, any questions or comments? Do you want to? You were so eloquent last month. You made us all cry.
My student said she saw me on TV and she said, cool, your face is all red. I was like, yeah, because I was mad. But when I speak, I always try to speak from my heart. And I speak on behalf of the Keiki, the children that I teach every day. I'm faced with the future. I teach preschool to 6th grade, middle school, high school. And what I do is teach them to love the land. So when these developers come into town and we no longer are here, they're going to be the next ones. I am developing an army of Aina warriors. And that's where it has to happen because we've been able to preserve our lifestyle and this area because of the kia'is that sit right here. And if any of these guys are not kia'is, let me know when their seats are available. I will sit here too. Because I realize that even though I'm stuck in the mud with my elbows, feet in the mud, working the Aina, every once in a while I gotta look up because of what I'm doing in the mud. And I wanna make sure that this community always gonna have lepo, always gonna have vai. Because as long as we have that, we always gonna have food. And we always gonna be able to feed ourselves and preserve the wetlands and preserve the Aina for not just us, but for the native birds, for the little tiny microbes that is the web of life, that gives life to the trees, that give us life. So we need to really change the way we approach the developers, because one of my kumu said, if you are against something, don't do this, because that person gonna do that too. So what I'm doing my best to is to really understand the perspective of these developers. Like, don't they have grandchildren? Don't they have, the perspective of understanding that when you live on this planet, it's temporarily, and then you leave. What legacy have you left your grandchildren? I really want to talk to their heart. But the tirale come out too. But I always come from that space of aloha aina. And so that's why I speak. And, Melvin, he dragging me over here because really I get plenty of work for doing the lo'i. But I got to come and I got to speak. And I really appreciate, I want to mahalo all of you guys that take the time to be the kia'i for our community. So mahalo.
Thank you, Cool. We appreciate you. Positive karma, right, girl? The other thing too, just so we had probably close to 50 people here last month, and somebody on the board said, who supports this project? And not one person. And they said, who doesn't support this project? And everyone raised their hands. So, and like I said, we had a lot of people from Haleiwa here that night. So it was really, really good to have and hear from them. Any other community comments or questions? Any other board questions or comments? Yes, Maka.
So I recently went over to the other side of the island, where you need a passport to get to the east side. And without naming a specific town, I went through there and thought that could be what happens to Waialua. Leave it at that.
We have a motion on the floor that's been seconded. Thank you, Maka, for putting together that motion. If hearing no further discussion, I'll turn this over to Zoidel to do roll call. Thank you.
Raquel, Debbie, Cassie, Uncle Eve, Denise, Mike, Maka, Charlene, Erica, Bob, Blake, Kathleen. 12 ayes, 0 noes, no abstain, adopted.
Hello, everybody. I will make sure that this gets sent to all of our city and state elected and department officials. So, okay, I do not see anybody here tonight from U.S. Army. So we will go to elected officials. Senator Brenton Awa, please. Thank you.
Aloha Board members. Lot to be thankful for this season, including my new security team. Just a joke. They're, you know,
Security team?
no. I had to break the ice.
Doing?
Guys behind the scenes, the guys behind the scenes. It's good. The guys behind the scenes, you know, they're always like, hey, we don't want to get up there with you. So I had to break that. But anyways, lots happened since the election. My old manager, chief of staff, Samantha DeCourt, picked up a seat in the Senate. So she's representing the West Side, replacing her as my chief of staff. You guys already know Elizabeth Tabake. And now replacing her, Hannah Lewis. So you'll see them around here. Also here, what happened basically, and we want to congratulate our counterpart in the House, Sean Quinlan, representative, who became the majority leader on that side. So now you're going to have two leaders, because on our side in the Senate, we became the minority leader with Samantha's vote. What that did for us was give us more resources, access to more resources. One of the things we're going to do with the resources for the community is to allow you guys to see what happens in the Capitol. So behind me, you'll see Mark Taliai, who has nearly 400,000 followers on his social media account on Instagram. And so what his job will be every day is to show you guys, hey, this bill's coming up. This bill's coming up tomorrow. Make sure you get your testimony. Here's an easy link to do it. Because a lot of things happen. And you know, one thing that I'm thankful for is that we all can agree on one thing, the moratorium, right? Because a lot of other things that are in the Capitol are very controversial. One thing that happened that many people didn't know about, and this is controversial because some people want to stop fireworks. Some people want the tradition to continue. But we all passed a bill. I was the only one to vote no on a bill that allows police or fire to come into your house without a warrant if they suspect that you have fireworks. So, you know, if you're popping illegally coming up on January 1st, be aware to that. But these are the kind of things that there was no opposition out of 76 lawmakers. And so these are the kind of things we hope to share to get more of you guys involved. So Mark will be on board and director of this office, this team that we're putting together right now. We're only halfway built, but the director will introduce you right now to Crystal Kana Pang should be the leader of that. We needed a go-getter who can really push and be aware with all the news and what's going on in today's world. Because really the focus with this office, what we want to do is get you guys connected and make sure that we can do our best to educate what's going on. A couple other real quick things that we're thankful for. The governor, earlier this year, we reached out and we asked, or we'll put in a request, a CIP request to get monies for Wailua High School's football field. There was complaints there about safety to the kids falling. It's very hard. So the governor approved $750,000 to get a crown emergency repairs to the field. And lastly, we had a really good conversation, and this is just really in the incubation stage, but I wanted to throw it out there to you guys because it's such a big issue. Cesspools. We out in Kahalu'u, the board, you know, the Alawai has been getting clean. I'm not sure. Show of hands, Genki Balls Alawai. How many people have heard of it? Okay, so what they do is they put these natural microbes into dirt and another mixture, and they throw it in, and it, basically the good microbes clean out the bacteria. Well, we had a meeting to try to get that to Kahalu'u, where our pond is now, you know, much worse than the Alawai. But from that meeting, what we realized across our whole community, maybe this could be relevant, is one thing they pitched was, hey, if we just put the microbes directly into the cesspools, that'll cut down a lot of the pollution that'll come out from there. So we're working right now, and that might be our next request for money is to do that, because we know that people can't afford to convert. 90% of people can't afford to convert from their cesspools to septic or connect. And if we can help do something to get, you know, pollution cleaner, then we're going to go after it. So those are the updates. And with that, you know, thankful for everybody for giving us another 4 years, and we look forward to it. So have a good Thanksgiving.
Okay, I'm going to go first.
Oh,
Since you have your security team there.
Watch out.
I'm not scared. A couple of things. We have a cesspool committee, so whoever on your staff you designate that issue to, please have them contact me, and I will. Yvonne comes to, and Rep. Peruso come to all of our cesspool committee meetings, and it would be good if you're going to do that, because then you're in sync with what's going on, and we know what you're doing. And I do know that, and I see Yvonne here in the back. I do know Rep. Caruso shares your concerns because I can't afford to change out my cesspool. It's 50 grand. I had a guy come out and tell me, I do not have $50,000 laying around to change out a cesspool. So anything that you guys can do at the state level is going to be greatly appreciated. So I invite you or your staff member to start coming to the cesspool. The next one is this coming Tuesday, the 3rd. So you've got my email, my cell phone. Just text me and I'll make sure they get the invitation. It's on Zoom.
Okay.
So easy peasy. And it's a good group of people. And we're going to be looking at Department of Health changes too, because that's also a problem in dealing with cesspools and things like that. When you guys get legislation that you think is of interest to us, because I sign up for all the notices, I get everything. And I know the ledge isn't subject to sunshine like we are in this council is. So sometimes the sooner you can get me something, I will make sure the board gets it and I'll post it on our Facebook page. So if it's something you want to have done, you need to let me know ASAP and I'll get it out. So that, again, the sooner you can get it to me, the more I can get people on. And then the final thing, well, I guess not. Okay. But those are two critical things. Keep me in the loop and I will make sure that information gets out to the public and to the rest of the board, because you can't, if people don't know you have legislation, we can't help get that legislation, especially if it benefits us. So it's important.
Yep.
So I
Forward to
appreciate
it.
that. Thank you very much. And then why don't you all at the end of the meeting, come and get my card, and then at least you have my contact information, and therefore you can email me and then we can start that dialogue going. So thank you very much. Okay, starting at this end, we have Blake, Maka, and Leaf.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. I was wondering, do you have an estimate on how much it costs for a Genki ball and how many Genki balls would you place in a cesspool per year? Thank you.
So I don't have the cost. They didn't give us the cost on the gallon, yeah. Basically, they said you'd be able to buy the gallon. I don't know what the price for that is. I can get back to you if you want that information. But it's not. They're not tossing the ball into the cesspool. There's 3 parts to the ball. One's mud, one's the microbes, and what is the third one? The powder. Molasses. But they're only putting the microbe in from the gallon into the cesspool. We can get you that price though.
You can also turn them into an activity. There's the Rotary Club, Sunshine Rotary Club in Honolulu works with the students at schools and stuff. So it is something that maybe even, like Sunset Beach Elementary or some other school could do too. So go ahead, Maka.
Mahalo. Aloha kako. Aloha to the new team. Welcome aboard. Mahalo for being here. As you mentioned, Senator, you do have social media presence, and might cut you to that. There's many passionate keyboard warriors out there. Bring them into the space. Bring them here so that we can physically engage and face-to-face engage. The things that are said online often don't meet the rubber to the road, if that makes sense. Mahalo nui to the young ladies that came to present and share about their project. And you're right. In this room, the demographics does not represent you. So maybe we can continue to encourage that type of participation and engagement. So mahalo nui and aloha.
Mahalo for that.
Yeah, I guess my question was also about the microbes. How long does it take to make them? And the other thing I was thinking, why don't we make the North Shore a test site? Because the state and everybody likes to do tests and stuff like that. Just make the North Shore a test site and be ahead of the game.
I mean, if the North Shore wants to jump on, send us. We'll connect. We're looking at Kahalu. I mean, obviously we got that big pond to fix. But if there's spots out here, to answer your question, where do the microbes come from? They grow them. The Genki Project, they work under a nonprofit and they farm their own microbes. So they farm the resources.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll start with Mike, Bob, and Casey.
I just wanted to say thank you for all your efforts for transparency. As Kathleen pointed out, the legislature is not subject to sunshine laws, and oftentimes things get noticed, 48 hours ahead of time, and we don't get time to comment on things, or things get changed after public comment through gut and replace. And so I just thank you for all transparency, and it's welcome. And I hope that more transparency can come. I'm not avid on some of the newest social media apps, but I've seen some of your content, and it's informative, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
If it's true that you got elected on your merit as opposed to having a huge budget, congratulations. I wish more politicians could make it on the merit of their efforts instead of buying it. But that's not what I wanted to. For years now, a lot of people have been doing the right thing, but it's against the law. And that's the people who go out and they need a day mooring. I asked the harbor master the other day, what would you like funded? What would really help? She said, all these guys that go out and drop an anchor, they're supposed to hit the sand, but if they've got a chain or anything, they're doing damage every time they drop. So what they do is they take a Clorox bottle or whatever, tie it off to a coral head, and they tie off to that thing every day. But why not get it street legal? DoCare is supposed to cite these guys, and we play these silly games because they can't get enough funding to do the job right. And that's been in front of DOBOR for ages. Maybe that could be a low-hanging fruit for you, and you can make a bunch of friends by getting some funding for it.
Hey, Bob, I appreciate all the kind words. You know us, we don't do things for votes and stuff, but if that's an issue, we can call on it.
Hi, thank you for coming. The topic of avian influenza, HDOA is currently handling their response from an agriculture standpoint. DOH is handling the human aspect of it. We have a very robust poultry producing community on the North Shore, and we're not getting enough information from HDOA on how did it get here, how is it spreading, where we know that there was a hybrid duck tested positive this week on the North Shore, but the North Shore is huge. Where on the North Shore was it? There are a lot of our producers are very nervous right now, and we don't have enough information to know how best to protect our flocks. I have a duck egg farm. You've been to it. I'm not really sure what to do, and I know H5N1 behaves differently than some of the previous strains. If there's anything we can do to encourage HDOA to share more information with the farmers to get more detailed, more specific on the locations, it would be really helpful for North Shore farmers and the other farmers on island to know how best to protect our flocks. So anything that you can do to encourage greater transparency would be really helpful.
And because
Thank you.
Because we got the second confirmed case out here, we can reach out to Sharon and try to get Dexter to call you guys. So who will be the point? You
Yeah,
guys-
just run everything to me and then I just send it out to everybody. It's super easy for you guys. Don't have to remember where to send stuff to.
Okay.
Yeah, super easy. Any questions, community, for the senator? Okay, thank you all for coming tonight. Oh, wait. Oh, Linnell, get up here, girl. You know the routine.
Good to see all you guys again. As we all know, in this area and all along the coastline, a lot of people think it might be insignificant, but it isn't. Our battle against the CRBs, I'm telling you, we're going to really have to step it up. If you just really look at our coconut trees, they're all dying. And now it's the banana patches too. So one thing about that, when we need to get rid of our trees, there's a lot of homeowners that cannot afford a professional, insured, and bonded tree service, yeah, like me. So when you go to legislature and ask about the microbes, the cesspool assistance, we cannot forget about these little creatures that are methodically devastating our island. I mean, it's gotten really, really bad now. And people have known about it for over a decade. And then now, you know, it's like we don't make changes unless there's a bad accident, and then everyone reacts. We got to be a little bit more proactive. So when you do go to legislature, ask for some of that agricultural funding that always seems to get cut to help the homeowners, property owners with getting rid of these coconut trees, whatever trees, because we also can't afford to get sued either if we get someone that's not insured. But I'm sure on the city level, the state level, and even on the federal level, somebody on this team can work out a proposal to get funds to help us, right? There's no sense you plant all of those coconut trees when in a couple years, it's all going to be drooping and dying. Okay, so you better keep up with the netting then. Okay, so, and I know everyone has noticed it all the way up in.
Okay, thanks, Linnell.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Go ahead.
Yeah, we definitely need more funds to that. We've been working with what we have. We were in Punaluu, last week? Because they basically started getting hit 6 months to a year ago based on what we saw at this one site. And yeah, it is costly to spray the trees, to net the trees. But right now, that's the prevention that we know. We can ask for more funds. We're using the grants that we have and the people on that side that got it. We hear you. We'd be affected, our trees are right there. So we're gonna make sure they don't die. Like I said, we wanted to get a burn site. That got shut down to make it easier for us to take our green waste out here. That looked like we were gonna get it, but yeah, that fell through. So we'll push this session. It's priority.
Okay, by the way, going back to your Genki balls, I know Kahalu is ground zero for cesspools. That's the highest rated for issues. But I think Leaf makes an excellent suggestion, and we will come up with some maybe test locations out here as well, because this is the Gold Coast of surfing, 7 glorious miles, and guess what's all along at cesspools. So I think there's a lot of opportunity also to take some areas that we can work on. So thank you.
That's it.
Raquel.
So I also got have the letter from the governor for the school's money, 750,000, and it said for a due diligence study. Do we know how long that study is going to take?
So originally we were going for a replacement field. And so the study would have been for the replacement field. But then because we couldn't change it, the request, we went to Superintendent Keith Hayashi, and we asked, hey, can this funds be used? Can you guys use it for emergency repair with a crown? And he said we could do that. So yeah, it does say that it's a study, but we're working with DOE, right? To use that funds for the emergency repairs.
Do we know when crowning would start, when the work would start?
Not yet.
I would just ask whatever they're going to do. Can we not do it during rainy season like 7 years ago? Because we spent a few $1 million on
They get wasted.
crowning and it washed away the same year.
Okay,
So, yeah.
thanks for that.
Okay, also, as you know, she is the president of the school council, so please keep her in the loop as to what's going on, so she's able to also get the information out to teachers and parents and things like that. She has a vast network of people she talks to. Any other questions for the senator? Okay, go ahead, Charlene.
Hi, thanks. I just had a question about Cam Highway resurfacing. Do you know anything about that?
What part?
The part after Waimea on the way to Haleiwa.
Okay.
Did I hear something? It's about April or something? Is that April? Okay.
Now, if you got it, go ahead, because I'd have to look up the same thing.
I got it. I think it was April.
So this is good. Thank you actually for bringing this up because they need to know this. So you guys can dog this for us as well. So I've been in touch with a couple folks at DOT who've been extremely responsive and very, very nice to work with. So we've been getting a lot of complaints about the road from Waimea. You can even see it. You can see where the trenching ended for the water main, and then it gets really nasty all the way to about Pupakea, right? Yeah, so it's pretty bad. Thanks, Casey. Have a good evening. Bye, Sash. So what I just got from DOT, and I'll send this to you guys as well, so you have the same information. So there are 2 paving projects. HDOT is planning in coordination with the pedestrian safety project, the vicinity of Laniakea Beach. They have the Joseph P. Leong Highway Route 83 repaving, and then the Kamehameha Highway repaving as well. Let's see what else. I don't want to read this whole thing. They are looking, in addition, there will be construction early 2025 to install approximately 1,000 feet of upgraded rockfall impact funds on the Sunset Beach side of Waimea Bay and another mitigation project for the Haleiwa side. They are working on some contracts and studies and stuff. I'm sorry, I'm not being more clear. We will address the pavement in this stretch, though. They have what they call an indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity. It's called IDIQ. It's something that the state and city does. Pavement contracting beginning in June or July. The crew will not do night work from June, July to September 15th, start of the seabird fallout season. The IDIQ paving will not encompass the highway section. It will be realigned in the Laniakea. So this is outside of Laniakea. So I don't know how great June and July is because, as you know, that's a big time for us. And then we have the sea turtle nesting. So we may have to work with DOT on some of that. But I will send this to you guys so you have the same information we have. And then it's in that email I sent you. If I need to, I can resend it to you. Okay, not a problem. So thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. Any other questions or comments? Yes, Leaf.
I was just thinking, like Linnell said, if the state is really serious about these rhinoceros beetles, why don't they have tree guys to come and just chop the trees? You see it, I mean, all of us see the trees. And if the state has people to go, or somebody you can call or something, come down, whack the tree. You know, by saying, oh yeah, it's there, but you know, it's on private property and they gotta pay for it. You know what? It's a state problem. I think the state they should attack this like it's a war. In fact, go up there with a flamethrower and blow it up.
Hey, no, it's funny you mentioned that because in Punaluu they had the big drone with the attachment, not the flames but the spray. So
Any other?
working.
Yeah. Any other questions for the senator? Okay, thank you, and thank you for bringing your team out tonight. It was very nice. Thank you very much. Yvonne, you're up, girlfriend. Representative Quinlan sends his apologies. He is not feeling well tonight. His son was sick, and he apparently picked something up. But Representative Peruso, Yvonne Yoros here. Thank you.
Aloha all, board, chair, vice chair. First off, Rep sends her regrets. She's visiting family for the holidays, but she says happy Thanksgiving. And yeah, she'll be here next month, or sorry, to January. I have 2 main points that I want to share, or events that we're hosting. One actually coincides with the cesspool meeting happening next week, but I do want to invite the rest of the audience and our community members to our People's Budget meeting. We're having it at Mililani High School Library. It's the last of a series that we've been hosting since April, talking about the budget. We're demystifying the government budget, really getting into the core of it, what each department needs, how their needs are going to be meeting the needs of the community. So this meeting that we're having next Tuesday at the Mililani Library. We're inviting all of the departments, state agencies, unions as well. So I hope you folks can join us. We're going to be serving food. It's going to be from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So maybe after you join the cesspool meeting, you can hop on by and join us too. Yeah, so if you have any questions, feel free to email me or come stop by and then I can give you more information later. And then the last one, so we are gearing up for next session. It's going to be here closer or a lot faster than we imagine. So if there are any concerns that you folks have that might have fallen off the radar, and you want to talk to a rep about that, feel free to see me and maybe we can have a meeting before we get into next session. Session starts January 15th. So that's the third Wednesday of the month. So if you can come by as well, come for opening day, visit our office. So we'd love to have you and see you folks there.
Great. Thank you, Yvonne. It's always a pleasure to see you. So I know you took down all the concerns. Whatever we tell one of you guys goes for all of you guys. So I saw you busily writing. Any other, though, additional questions for what? No share. No, thanks. Any additional questions for Rep. Russo? She's off in Boca Raton. She sends her regrets for not being here in person, but she's with family over the holiday weekend. So any other questions or concerns? Okay, thank you. Have a lovely holiday. Thank you so much. Okay. We are so honored. We have a new mayor's rep. As everyone knows, our old mayor's rep, Matt Gonser, moved to the mainland. And we are honored to have the new deputy director of the same climate change office, Kealoha Fox. Nice to meet you.
Aloha Maika, co-chair, committee chairs and board members. I'm Kealoha Fox. I'm a resident of Kunia. I'm a mom and I am a kama'aina in Kanako'iwi who is deeply concerned about the same topics and barriers that have been brought up tonight. Traffic, development, housing, capitalism, all of that resonates with me really deeply. I am thrilled to represent the office of Mayor Blangiardi. As mentioned, I'm the Deputy Director of the Office of Climate Change, Sustainability, and Resiliency, and I'm the Mayor's Deputy Chief Resilience Officer. We, of course, are highly, highly concerned and committed about climate change and the climate change impacts. And me, as a resident here of District 3, obviously, I'm very privileged and honored to have the kuleana to be able to represent Mayor's office here on the North Shore, where I continue to have so much aloha. I will be with you every month, and I have also been taking rapid notes, just like Yvonne has, so that I can make sure that not only myself and Mayor's team, but all of our staff are updated on these same issues too. If there's any way that we can be helpful, I look forward to staying in touch with you folks as issues come up with your committees. Please do let us know. And on behalf of Mayor's office, we just wanted to highlight the newsletter for this month, especially 2 topics, just to bring everybody's awareness to, and there's copies here on the table, is definitely read about the sewer fees and definitely look up the new updates to the flood maps that FEMA has been able to populate and will continue to do until they're finalized until 2026. That's especially important for homeowners and some of the issues that have been raised today. And I continue to learn and listen and observe. Mahalo and happy holidays to everyone.
Mahalo, Deputy Director. Board members, anybody? Blake? Oh.
Well, we're so grateful to have you here. Thank you so much. So glad to have someone like yourself in a leadership position moving Honolulu forward and all of our communities together. I just wanted to kind of mention a point that I'm sure is obvious to you through your pre-existing work and your current work, that by having residents be able to access the coastline safely and be able to safely bring young children into the water, it builds a lifelong steward of the community. And so I'm just hoping that we can continue to explore resident-only parking at some of our city beach parks, particularly in this area. I try my best to articulate the need to safely unload people, my family members, I guess, to be real specific. And then people say, oh, you're making a place for tourists. And so if you can help navigate, there's some gap in the language that I'm using, and I feel like the city can help make it more clear. Like, we want residents to safely take their children to the ocean. We're not inviting more visitors. We're making safe places for our families to go to the ocean. And we want to do that because then they will turn into stewards of the coastline and help build resilient strategies into the future. Thank you.
Hi, thank you so much. Nice to meet you. This is pre-you, this is before the election, but I remember this has to go back, right back to the Sharks Cove thing. And I just remember with the town hall meeting here, the mayor was very specific and saying it could be done about the Sharks Cove, possibilities of making an offer for this, for the community. And I was just wondering, because if you could catch up on that and see what he really means about that.
I'll
Thank
be
you.
sure to follow up. Thank you.
I just want to say, if you can take our sentiments as far as the rhinoceros beetle back to the mayor and see if, we gotta be super proactive about this. We're behind the 8 ball now. So if we can get them on the ball. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Aloha kaua.
Aloha.
Mahalo and ho'omai to your new post. With your other hat in your current role and current office, I'd like to invite you and I guess Hero's replacement / stand-in at the moment, right? To our what committee do I sit on? Emergency and Health and Emergency Preparedness Committee, to just inform our community and our committee of the changes and inform you folks of where we're at as a committee and what our goal and priorities are.
Mahalo for the
Mahalo.
invitation.
Aloha, I'm very glad that you're with us. Three things. One is regarding Laniakea. The project is soon to start, and I recently commented on the application to OCCL for the Conservation District Use Permit. My question, which is a city question, is what is the process going to be for the disposition of the Malka City Park, which is about roughly 3 acres, if I remember. So it's really key because it's been kind of totally obscure. So there's City Park acreage, Malka, that's going to be, the realignment will be on top of it. Where is basically the kind of the trade-off or the compensation for the taking of that? And there's a process, just obscure. Second one, CRB again, but I really want to focus on CRB in our beach parks because the city clearly has jurisdiction over the beach parks. And so could you convey to DPR and urban forestry that we would like to know what is the plan for taking care of the cocos and other things that are getting hit in our beach parks? And what's the plan for replacement of something that would be resilient in terms of coastal erosion? And the third thing I forget, which is fine.
Thank you, Mike.
2 issues that haven't come up in the meeting today, so I wanted to alert you to them, and we get great updates from our council rep's office as well. The Haleiwa walkways have been going on forever, and we always appreciate updates and anything the mayor can do to push the departments under his control to get those things done. That's been going on forever, and we really want our Haleiwa walkways. And the second one, I know there's people working on this and people involved in this. The Wailua intersection at Goodale and Kealoha Nui got realigned and is the oddest alignment of an intersection for a new intersection. You know what I mean? If it was like that existing, I'd be like, wow, that's just the way it was. But like they made it this way. It's very odd and it needs resolved. I know Kathleen and other people have been working on this, and I just hope that they can find some way to, keep the bike path that we really also want, but make the intersection something that's safe and easy, because we have a lot of visitors in that area. It's not as packed as Haleiwa, but there's enough visitors, and you see people pulling up this thing and they have no clue how to treat this thing because it is an interesting and different, just the shape of it, just the way everything about it. So the Wailua intersection and the Haleiwa walkways, any updates you can give us, any ability to help get those things completed would be Much appreciated.
I'll be sure to.
Okay, so, Mike, I can tell you right now, they're coming out next week on Waialua. I was in texting back and forth with Sean over in, I guess it's in DCC. So we'll keep pushing on it, but they are going to do some restriping and put the delineators up so people don't drive into the bike path. My God, listen, you know it's bad when your mail lady stops you on a Saturday, turns off the engine of her truck and starts berating you.
Yes.
Not me personally, but starts going on about it. So you know it's bad. I was like, oh my God.
I've seen 3 people driving on the bike path.
Oh,
that
yeah,
area.
I'm not surprised. And then the walkways, there is a meeting December 11th. You're probably aware of it already. So they will be coming out and supposedly it's all good and wonderful news. Kelly's shaking her head. So I will definitely be here. It's going to be here. I think it's at 6:30, something like that. Yeah. Okay. Raquel I'm sorry, Bob and then Raquel. Sorry.
Real quick, on the federal level with a new president coming in, when I hear the word climate, I just got all these horrible thoughts come to mind of how things might change. And my question to you is, since you're involved in climate, when changes come, I think a lot of people out here like to be proactive, might be a little late, but keep us informed about what we can do to help with climate. And I know that's just a giant umbrella, but Mr. Drill Baby Drill really makes me nervous.
Thank you, board.
Yeah, I'm hearing very bad things. Sorry. Raquel.
Just wanted to give, if you can express to Mayor, we met with a Parks Committee. I think it's Terry, myself and some community members. I think they were here, Kanoa and Za Dalin, regarding the trees at Ali'i Beach Park. They have been marked to be cut down. Kanoa and Za had some really great input as to how to possibly try to help as a community, because that is kind of our home break. But also in the event that the trees, the ones that are marked, are coming down, to Denise's point, what will replace? Because the erosion thing will happen quickly. Those roots of those trees are very big and they've been there a long time. So that would be a concern if we can just keep following up with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Any other questions? Dawn.
Thank you. The mayor and your climate office have in the past supported the 1.25 mile setback for the wind turbines. And we noticed that the DPP person has been the only one testifying in person recently and kind of struggling. So if you could have the mayor send someone who can assist the council members when they have questions, that would be helpful. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dawn. Any other final questions, community? Any other questions we're so grateful to have you. And not only that, you basically live in our community. So we're even more grateful because I think you're in council members district, I think.
Yes,
So you get us.
I do.
Thank you.
Your concerns are my concerns.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Yes, you get us. Thank you. Kelly?
Okay. Aloha Chair and members of the board. Kelly Hanaya from Councilmember Matt Wire's office. Okay, a couple of things. Councilmember just wanted to give a quick update regarding the Kahuku Pool meeting that happened on October 29. Some of the proposed projects, in addition to the 50-meter pool, are covered play courts and an expanded skate facility. There's going to be future opportunities for community input, so please be sure to stay in touch, and you can maybe check out that link right there. I checked it earlier, but there wasn't any sign up, but I'll definitely be sure to keep you guys updated for any future community meetings. A couple legislative updates. Bill 22, which would have legalized certain fireworks despite council members' vote against the measure, passed, but the bill was vetoed by the mayor. The council did consider an override, but ultimately decided against it. Bill 64 passed out of the Committee on Planning and the Economy and will most likely be taken up at full council on December 11th. If you want to go ahead and submit testimony, you can check on December 5th when the agenda should be posted. Bill 59 was co-introduced with Chair Waters. This would reduce the single-use plastic containers at city facilities and events to address the plastic waste issues. This would target containers that are under 1 liter, and what it would do is basically prohibit the selling of these containers. Bill 61 to promote public safety was co-introduced with Councilmember Cordero that would prohibit doing wheelies on public roadways on motorcycles, mopeds, and e-bikes. Favorite topic. Okay, and I do have quite a bit of updates. Let's see. So Miss Cassie's not here, but I did email you guys when I got the information last month. But in regards to the raised crosswalks at Haleiwa Elementary, DTS did say that it's going to be part of the Haleiwa Road Bikeway project, which is in the early design phase. The Waialua Beach Road Raised Crosswalk project is going to be a collaborative effort with DTS and the state DOT and is on a list of street work projects. Let's see. The DDC meeting that you mentioned, yes, it is going to be on for December 11th, 6:30 here at Waialua Elementary. The Gooddale Ave, I actually drove it here tonight. They did put up some barriers to kind of block the, that bike lane. I actually was out here a couple weeks ago, and within the first 5 minutes, I seen 5 closed calls. So yeah, they are aware of it. They didn't give me specifics as to what the other implementations are going to be, but it looks like they're already did some of it. So it seems to be working.
We actually had a meeting
Yes,
with
that's right,
them.
yeah.
With
You
them,
were
they all
with
came
them.
out, and Tiffany Eason, who's a
Oh,
school
okay.
teacher here, and I met with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Let's see, somebody asked about the Ahapua'a signage at Sunset L and Haleiwa Beach Park. I didn't hear back from DPR, so hopefully it's not backwards anymore. Bus stop at Waimea, still pending to hear back from either OTS or DTS, but I did put the request in. All the damaged palms from the CRB, DPR, DPR is aware, and the work order has been submitted to Duff. But there's more than just the ones at Sunset Beach Rec. They're going through all the ones island-wide. So yeah, they're working on it. Thank you for your patience. Also related to CRBs, DPR wants to thank the community for their tree donation offers, but currently they are not accepting any trees at the moment until CRBs are under control. I believe, Charlene, you had asked HPD about the Cam Highway city-state jurisdiction. I believe I spoke to you privately about that. So I'm still waiting to hear back. Okay. And then the bike path overgrowth, DPR said that is actually under DTS's jurisdiction. And they do have a work order in for the contract to come and clear it. So hopefully the weather will hold up and they'll be able to complete that. And then customer service department regarding the DMV kiosks, they're looking to install, I don't know if it's 1 or 2, but they're looking to install some by the first quarter of next year. They didn't say which grocery store, but they said a local grocery chain. Someone else had questions regarding why Kauai Loa wasn't taking green waste. So that has been it's actually a restriction that EMV put in place since 2015 to kind of help with the landfill issues as well as to promote recycling. Unfortunately, I believe people were still being allowed to take their green waste there, but that is no longer the case. The reason why they're only allowing it on Sundays from noon to 6, because Hawaiian Earth Recycling is closed. Everyone else is asked to take their green waste recycling to Hawaiian Earth. Someone had also asked if it would be possible to implement morning hours because the traffic on Sundays are absolutely horrendous. ENV said they cannot because they're trying to encourage residents to recycle. The green waste that is taken to Kuailoa is not recycled. It's mixed with regular trash and taken to, I believe, H Power. And again, getting back to green waste and CRBs, Councilmember will be sending out a letter to kind of encourage residents along the Pupukea bike path to stop illegally dumping their green waste because that is a breeding ground for CRBs. So hopefully we'll get a, yeah, that would be great. You know, they don't even have to take it to Kuailoa or to Hawaiian Earth. I mean, if they just put it in their trash can, they will pick it up. So hoping for the best with that. And if anyone has any questions.
Board members, questions, Mike, Denise, Raquel, Leaf, Sherilyn, Blake.
Oh my God, what did I do?
You asked for it.
I know.
Hopefully mine's easy. Pardon my ignorance. I haven't paid attention about the election and people who got elected to the council. Is there any shakeup in like the chairs and structure of people on the council based on the recent election or anything that we should know about?
No, I believe just District 5, which is Councilmember Say. I'm not sure exact. I think it's Scott Nishimoto who got in. But as far as the new committee assignments or I don't know anything about it. No, not yet. No, not yet.
I believe they organized in January, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
Whoever was next, keep going.
So I used to live down Pa'ala Road and my kids went to Haleiwa and the crosswalk is in the wrong spot. It's in the middle and it dead ends into a fence. So everyone that comes, well, there used to be a gate there, but it closed probably 10 years ago. So
I'm sorry, on Haleiwa Road?
Yeah, on Haleiwa Road at the end of Pa'ala Road. There should be a crosswalk closer to the intersection because everyone just crosses there anyway. But the crosswalk is about 50 yards down. And so you would walk down the street, cross the road, and then walk back so you can go in. So nobody does that. Everybody just cuts across. So if they're going to put in the raised crosswalk, they might want to consider putting the crosswalk in the right place. Just to, yeah, my 2 cents.
I will let them know. Thank you.
Good point. Go ahead, Denise.
Two things. First, Kelly, thank you so much you take detailed notes. You're so responsive. And we also need a glossary anytime Kelly speaks because the acronyms are incredible, right? She's
sorry.
CTS, EMV. No. Anyway, so
You guys are like,
we know what those are. But slow down, girl. No, anyway, thank you so much. My question is, this may be a big issue. The landfill issue, last time I looked at the proposed maps, which have been adjusted, all of the likely areas for the landfill fit in Councilmember Wyer's district.
That is correct.
So beware. So my question is, could you come back to us in January and give us an update on what that
Absolutely.
means for his district? It's going to be hot.
Absolutely, I will.
Actually, if you find out anything before that, send it to me because January is going to be tight because we have Arate on the schedule. So I don't want to assume we're going to get to you guys, but the
Nope.
sooner we can get the information out. So
I believe that they're going to do an announcement on the 10th.
that's what I've heard too. You and I will talk afterwards.
No problem. Yeah.
Raquel?
Not really a question, just wanted to extend a huge mahalo to Councilmember for Bill 64. He got an amendment that Senator Riviere and I had been trying to push for to require on-site ag operation that has to be in existence prior to the issuance of any land use permit or building permit for accessory agriculture use or secondary supporting use. You'd think that would be a given, but it's not. So very, very big move for us. So thank you to him for that, for pushing that.
Thank you.
And also for you and him attending our ag lot meeting this past Friday. It
Absolutely.
was
Thank you
really,
for
really helpful
putting it
having
on.
us there. Thank
It was
you.
amazing.
It's not like I'll go to the dump every time, but there's two sides to the dump now. And when they built that, I was under the impression that that was for green waste. And we have to do something for green waste for the home people because we're gonna get Opala all over the road because people are gonna say, I'm not gonna drive all the way Wahiwafu, go through that. couple of, one small truckload. So need to do something. And there is two sides to that. So just open one side, even if you got to make them only between these 2 hours, at least it's something.
Right, but they're trying to encourage the recycling. The
Well,
Greenway-
no, what I'm saying is
I'm
that,
sorry? No.
no, what I'm saying is that one side only green waste.
I can ask.
And
I'm
and-
not sure.
And take it to the kind instead of, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. I will ask. I will make that ask of them. Thank
Hi, I don't really have a question. I just have a comment. We waited years and years to get the new pool done here.
I'm sorry, what was that?
We waited a long time to get the Wailua pool ready, nicely usable. And there are no hours that anybody can use it because of no lifeguards. So that's,
Okay,
it's very unbelievably short.
Posted full hours sign there. Okay.
Are they?
Oh, there's no
making
lifeguard
more
anymore?
They started so short. I mean, they're very short times. What, it's crazy short.
Just got this taken care of. Okay.
Has it? Because it was just like, I was just saying with the new pool in Kahuku, it's all nice to have these pools, but we got to man them so they can use it because that's just outrageously short. That's all.
They had hours like through the summer, but now that seems like they don't. So could you find out? And the other thing is they'll post the hours and then suddenly they won't be open when they're supposed to be open. I've had people tell me about this, complain. And that's not right. If you're going to have hours posted, then you need to
should
be
be somebody over,
responsible.
yeah.
And I'm sorry, they're a little lackadaisical sometimes about their service to the community, and I'll leave it at that.
I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
I was under the impression that it was,
I was
taken
too,
care
but
of, but
apparently
yeah.
it's changed again, so
Okay.
thank you.
I'll go ahead and look into that. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know.
I just wanted to say thank you to Councilmember Wire and his staff for being opposed to Bill 22 and stand strong in strong support for
For your
public safety and emergency services. I think that is really wise, and it shows how leader by one individual can end up shaping, the viewpoint of the larger decision-making body. So very grateful for him taking that firm stand in the interest of the safety of young people and families. And then also just to comment a little bit more, we're not going to resolve here tonight, but I swear it was within the last 2 years or so that it was widely covered in Hawaii media that we were not giving enough trash to H Power to burn, and that the city was actually paying them because we weren't delivering on the volume of trash that we were supposed to give to the private company that operates H Power. And I may be mistaken that, but I'm pretty sure that's what the media sources are telling me right here. Simultaneously, we're being told not to maintain compost piles in our personal yards because of the CRB. And so I really have to question where this is coming from. And I think we need some leadership from the top. There's something doesn't quite equate given the various factors. Originally the public was told, no, we need to get more trash to burn, to turn into electricity. And we're turning people away and then also telling them, oh, don't keep the green waste in your yard. It's just a lot of mixed messaging. And I don't appreciate that. Not against you, but
Right.
I don't think any of us appreciate that. And then also I think there's a lot of people that when that kind of paradoxical information comes up, it kind of raises questions about what's really going on here. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll look into that.
Community, any questions for Matt Wire's office? Karen? Steps you're getting.
It's been a long day. I'm tired. I don't know if this is for Matt Wire or the mayor or the state, but I'll just talk about the pool. In the 70s, I believe, and I know in the 80s, there was a drown proofing program for all sixth graders in the elementary schools. And it seemed like a really good idea. And then it just stopped. And now that we're going to have a pool in Kahuku and the Wailua one, I don't know why I think we should get the drown proofing program re-implemented.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to keep moving on because we actually have committee reports tonight for a change. So, but first we need to approve our October board minutes. Do we have a motion to accept the October 22nd minutes? Okay, do we have a second? Bob seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to committee. First, we'll hear from Raquel, Chair of the Ag Committee. Then we will, do you have anything, Maka? Okay, Maka. I guess all of us will have a few words tonight, so go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, so the Ag Committee, very diligently and consistently following Bill 64. I've been going to all of the hearings in town. It's progressing. I think we're coming to the end of the tunnel here. It might actually end at some point, and the land use order will be done. We had a really good meeting this past Friday. It was a special committee meeting to address the CPR ag lots that are in Mokuleia and other areas, but really specifically to Mahiko Farms, because that developer unfortunately has passed away. And a lot of the people who purchased or bought into that concept are just trying to figure out how to move forward. So we had really great guests and information shared by the Director of Department of Planning and Permitting, as well as the condominium specialist from the Real Estate Commission and the state office. Went through the process of CPRs, DPP went through zoning compliance and their process as well. So although there's a long road for that project, it was a really informative meeting that provided a lot of information for anyone that's interested or gets entertained by the idea of these ag lots that developers coming in and buying up big chunks of land and saying they've got a dream for you. I really, really, really recommend you see a real estate attorney and you really get to the details of whatever that project is claiming to be. It really helps to do that work. You could be out of a lot of money for a very extended period of time. So it was a really good meeting, and I'm happy to share with anyone that's interested. You can reach out to me after the meeting. And our next meeting will be a special meeting again in December that Vice Chair Alexander will be leading regarding the bird flu. Bird flu, yeah? Okay, aviary. That's it.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Next up, we want to hear from Board Member Kessin Fisher. Yes, go ahead, Bob.
I was looking over the minutes from their August 13 meeting, and they certainly got into a lot of content.
Which,
at the bottom-
which committee meeting is this?
I'm sorry, the ag meeting.
Okay, thank you.
And at the bottom that said that the resolution be prepared for distribution, various governmental agencies, that's City Council, the Mayor, Department of Planning, Permitting, Department of Agriculture. But everything that they do, doesn't that come back to the board here?
Yeah, they didn't take that up, correct, Raquel? Yeah, they didn't take it up. That's why nothing came to us.
But just as to refresh my memory.
Yes, anything a committee does has to come to before the board for approval, yes.
The way I read this, it sounded like it was going right up.
No.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Board Member Kessin Fisher.
Mahalo, Chair. And Chair Achu, when you folks have that meeting regarding the bird flu, I think one of us, somebody from the Health and Emergency Preparedness Committee will also be there, and we can tag that on to our proposed January meeting, January 2025. But just wanted to say mahalo nui to Chair Pahinui and all our sponsors for the recent Health and Emergency Preparedness Fair that we had on November 9th. Folks like Queens Health System, Fire Department, all the departments that, what is Heroes one? EMS, DEM, mahalo acronyms, and HAIMA, Hawaiian Electric, the Amateur Radio Club, and just a leo mahalo, thanks to everyone that came and supported, learned, and shared. We will be having our Health and Emergency Preparedness meeting in January 2025. I will be sending invitations to Dr. Fox and her office to come and share and present with us. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Maka. Appreciate that. Cesspool, our next meeting is December 3rd. It's on Zoom. If you'd like to attend, you can access the agenda on the NCO website, honolulu.gov/NCO, and go to boards and then to the committee meetings, or you can call me up or email me and I'll send it to you. We're looking at we're working with Rep. Caruso's office on some possible issues regarding cesspools, but we're also looking at the ability to update some rules for the Department of Health as well. So we'll see how that goes this year. And then finally, our newest committee and newest committee chair, Board Member Antolini, Parks Committee, please.
Thank you. The blessings of retirement, more committee work. No, it's been really fun. So the Parks Committee is the most nomadic of all the committees. What we've decided to do, and I want to acknowledge my fellow committee members. So the first meeting we got organized at Waialua Community Association, that was way back in August. And what we decided to do is rotate through the parks. We meet at 7 a.m. at the various parks. So please join us. We met Haleiwa Beach Park was our first one in September. It was a great visit. And then my vice chair, Alex Call, if I pronounced it right, did the one in October at Ali'i. And we just recently met at Waimea Bay. And it's just actually really fantastic meeting at 7 a.m. at the beach park. You see stuff. You see all kinds of stuff. And then it's really great to hang out and talk to the lifeguards. And we've had some park staff join us. So our hope, so our focus is on the need for better maintenance. We all know that. The need to support our staff and more staffing. The need for enforcement. Parks in town has started a pilot park ranger program. That's just an idea of trying to get that extended up here to the North Shore. CIP, you know, our beach park facilities are either ripped apart, falling apart, growing trees on their roofs. It's desperate. And I know the city, there's work being done on this, but we're going to try to get ahead of it. And also we're talking a lot about partners, adopt a park, community partners, things like that. So I anticipate we will, we're going to go back to Waialua Community Association in January. It'll be January 8th in the evening. We'll put together a little report and we'll probably report back substantively at the February meeting but it's fun. It's a fun committee and it's great to get to know your beach parks in a kind of a different way. So mahalo.
Yeah. I have to say, when I went the other night, it was the other day, even though it was 7 a.m. and I don't function well without a lot of coffee that early, but it was like really spicy. We had good fun. Please note, public can always come to any of the committee meetings. If you decide you'd like to join a committee, please call me up and we'll talk to that committee chair. We do have to have a formal process to add you to a committee. Board members, unfortunately, unless you're already on the committee, you're not allowed to show up. Sorry about that, unless you're the chair. Board member attendance at committee meetings. We did have several board members at the A committee meeting the other night, which I thought went excellent. Kudos to committee chair Achu for doing an excellent job for bringing out some very critical people and providing really excellent information on these issues. It was really well received, I think, by many of the people who were there. We had about 30 to 40 people, so it was a good meeting. Correspondence, as always, I email you guys probably way too frequently, so you have everything from me. Our next scheduled meeting, we recess in December, will be Tuesday, January 28th, and that meeting pretty much will be devoted to Arate and Turtle Bay. We may push everything pretty much to the down because I know people have been very anxious to have us bring that to this community. And there was some disappointment we weren't able to do it this month, but we'll definitely do it in January. Any final board announcements from board members? Bob, are you playing Santa Claus this year? Maybe. Oh, bummers. Okay. Any other? Yes, Charlene. I'll ask Denise to answer that. Arate on pause right now.
No, the question is Arate on pause right now? So, on their best places, check their website. So their website, last time I checked it, says, that horizontal work that is continuing, like they're going to finish their grading and grubbing. But what they've said that they will pause, and I'm not speaking for them, you have to check their website, is the vertical construction. Vertical means, starting the building construction, but they don't have their building permits to do it. So I think you can get into a debate about, is it a pause or what? So best to email them and ask them what they are pausing and what they are continuing, so that we all can keep asking them that question.
And that's a great question for January. Keep that in mind. Okay, if there are no other anything, yes, Raquel.
Just really quick, again, if no one has looked at it, Karen, thank you so much for this edition. It's really, really good. You guys, this thing is filled with projects that are happening. And some of them we've talked about, but there's a new one. And if you're not aware, Mount Kaala, you guys want to know about what they want to do this, because you'll see it from every angle on the North Shore. And we are very actively getting ready to fight this with every strength in my being. But it's a really great magazine. So thank you, Karen.
Okay, and on that very
Chair,
positive note.
Chair, on a positive note, can I ask one more thing, please?
No, but go ahead.
Mahalo. It would be remiss if I do not mention that this Thursday is La'Ku'oko'a. If you're unfamiliar with La'Ku'oko'a, I encourage you to look it up. There's a lot of information out there. If you're available 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, the Waialua Hawaiian Civic Club and the Punanoleo o Waialua Hawaiian Language Immersion Preschool will be gathered at the Waialua Courthouse for a little talk story engagement Oli Pule about La'Ku'oko'a.
Hello, thank you. Okay, I adjourn this meeting.
Yay, Lono Ikamakihiki.
Following up.